Time for a follow-up to that, my final thoughts on Strive or whatever it was. And I'm going to answer some questions I got about that video. So some stuff I didn't talk about or touch on that I guess I've talked about in other videos, but I didn't put in that video is, you know, when people ask, why do you think this game is more interesting than XRD? Well, first of all, I've said many times that XRD, I think, is just a lot of times one step forward, one step back, or one step forward, two steps back. It's not really a totally progressive game. There's some kind of progressive ideas, but there's also a lot of step backwards in different instances, and I just don't want to talk about it. I've already talked about XRD so many times it gets boring, but this game it's more interesting in that it's like, at least it's different, right? You know what I mean? So that's like, even like an interesting thing, like when I talked about this game being methodical, and I made those recent videos that I've been touching on this, but I didn't talk about it in that original, my final thoughts on Strive, is just think about how blocking works in this game, right? And again, this isn't something that other people have talked about. Of course, it came from me. But, you know, we have just something like this. You know, normally you have different characters, you have different kind of, you know, weights, and, you know, my hurt box, my hitbox is whatever different, you know, between standing and ducking. But this game even has subtle nuances besides the normal Guilty Gear of, oh, I'm going to push you out with the FD, then maybe I'll punish you here with an instant block to keep myself closer. This game also even has a subtle difference in the pushback of blocking and ducking, right? So if I were to duck this right here, I punish, right? But if I were to stand block it, I'm not even in range. So when you think about how methodical this game is, that even this game has different pushbacks for standing and ducking, that kind of really, again, you know, it's kind of, you know, the game is kind of deliberate in that, and it's kind of interesting. And then if we are thinking about the game in terms of this, and of course, how I said, like, you know, randomly using drift RC, you know, all this stuff was what I talked about, how the game was going to be played and the stuff that was going to be possible in it. You know what I mean? Like my RC versus your RC. And then when you combine that with this game has, where is this shit? The counter hits in this game, they're kind of like not like a normal counter hit, how it's like, you know, if you think about normal counter hits in games, it's either just like damage or whatever it is. Unless we're talking about Dragon Ball Fighter Z's, whatever, which is a complete clusterfuck in its own right. But this game, the counter hit system is kind of interesting. It's kind of deliberate. It's kind of at first, right? So normally if I just do this, right, you know, that doesn't combo. Actually, let me put on shock state too, just to show what I'm talking about. Where's character specific shit, right? Shocking, right? So normally that doesn't combo, but this game, if you think about how counter hits work in this game and how every counter hit has kind of a specific amount of time that it gives you to where you can combo, which kind of goes in with this whole freezing you down. So if I just do this, even that comboed like that, even though, you know, normally, you know, that doesn't combo unless it's a counter, but even this first hit of the counter hit makes that combo. Isn't that that's kind of interesting, right? And so then if we do this shock state, you know, that kind of shit combos. Isn't that kind of weird? That's kind of weird. And the stun is long enough on that I'll try to not fuck up. Boom. Oh shit, well, I fucked it up. I was even able to run in a little bit and still get a link. Isn't that kind of interesting, the way the counter hits work in this game? Even this, like this move is 2 hits, right? It's 2 hits and it still gives you enough time to combo the big fireball, right? That kind of shit is actually pretty interesting, especially when you think about this game, again, being a methodical, deliberate, whatever kind of game you want to call it, in terms of just blocking, standing and ducking, not just the normal kind of idea of not just the normal idea of fighting games of ducking versus standing. You have different hurt boxes, hit boxes. Not even adding that layer of Guilty Gear, oh, I'm FDing to push you out and then maybe I'm going to punish you, or I'm instant blocking to stay in. Now, just standing and ducking, there's different amounts of like pushback. Then you add that in with being able to try to drift FRC in, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to drift in. Ooh, and then, you know, well, I fucked that up, but you saw in the video. You know, and then you like actually have knocked the guy enough that you can then switch spots to put them in the corner, that kind of shit. You know, you think about all the different kind of way, if you add that all together and with the way the counter hits work, that the counter hit itself is not the stun is not only for that move, it's actually a time system. And when you add everything into like this and you think about all the intricate ways that things are punished, etc., it's actually kind of an interesting spin on a game, on a fighting game, right? Now, unfortunately, when we're talking about punishing, then unfortunately we're talking about actually comboing the guy, and you know, the combos in this game are completely fucked up because the wall is complete bullshit. It encourages you to play it in a safer way, which is, why would you want a game to encourage you to play the game to a lesser level in that sense? So it's like you put in this complicated mechanic, but then ironically you have this wall that discourages you from actually using it optimally. Very bizarre, right? And it potentially even fucks you up. Right? Imagine if you're in a situation, he taps me here, I tap him there, he taps me here, I tap him there. And then I show in that one situation I made that video, it's like, oh, well, I drift out FRC in to punish it, which is normally not punishable like that. And then I start to combo the guy, but then boom, imagine the first hit just knocks him against the wall. And it's like, well, fuck. The first hit knocked him against the wall. And it's like, God damn it, I just wasted my whole meter because I counted the frames wrong. Fuck my titties, right? But it's still, you can see there's an idea there, right? There's still an idea that, you know, when I've talked about games before, a lot of times, you know, they need to have like a developer that actually, or someone telling the developer, whoever it might be, or the person in charge of the team, be like, that's the best idea you got. You have an idea there. Go with it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't be like, put in this other bullshit. That's a good idea. You know, I use that Dragon Ball Fighter Z example. I know people get mad and say Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it's fighters, fuck me. Whatever, dude. But you know what I mean? The whole idea of homing dash versus reflecting, tug of war, reflecting, homing dash, blah, 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 reflecting, homing dash, fireballs, yeah. But they didn't trust the idea to actually go along with it, right? Just like the wall, they could have done stuff with this wall. They could have put a fun idea on it, but it was fucked up. And I fucked up that one thing. I did forget that. Someone did post that in the comments, and that was my fault that you got me there. I did forget, they did say in the changes that they were allowing you to buffer more and everything like that, because I was talking about how the game saves your inputs, and it's like, well, what the fuck? What if I didn't want to do that, right? So I actually did forget that, yeah, they did say they did change that in one of the final patch notes or whatever the fuck that was, that they're allowing you to buffer more. So you're correct, but if I'm just a little bit closer like this, you know what I mean? Like, who knows where, and it's like, oh, and it's like, oh, well, I already committed to it. It's like, what if I didn't want to do that? Like, if I knew they were going to hit the wall, you know, it's just like even this far away. It's like, oh, I'm doing my combo, whatever it is. Boom. It's like, oh, shit. And well, now you see the moves already coming out. I committed, right? It's like, well, fuck me, dude, right? If I knew that was going to happen, I would have, you know, did DP if I had any execute. Holy shit. You know, there's something very weird with fucking, like I said, there's something weird about shortcuts in this game, but anyway, fuck me, dude. Jesus Christ, exposed. Clayton can't do fucking so high in the air, I couldn't even punish them. So the wall is a clusterfuck, right? But, you know, XRD is, you know, there's some ideas in XRD, but it's a lot of times it's just one step forward, one step back. So it's just not really interesting. And, you know, the difference between a lot of maybe people that maybe watch my videos is video games are a bigger part of your life. And I understand when a new game comes out, like, oh, I want to play it because this is what people are playing. Maybe even if you don't like it, it's like, well, this is what people are playing, so I got to play it. For me personally, I only play video games randomly in the first place. So if I don't want to play a game, I'm just not going to play it. And so XRD came out. It's like, why would I play XRD? It just doesn't interest me. I mean, go back to, I keep calling these games, game after game, game after game. I called how XRD was going to work as well, if you recall, if you remember that. All while people are like, no, this won't work. I remember the Japanese had XRD before America for an entire year, and I was like, well, I know, right when I get this game, I'm going to tell you all this shit works. I don't care if the Japanese aren't doing it, it works. People are like, no, the Japanese have had it for a year, they would have done it already. Guess what? I made all my videos when XRD finally came out in America, and then look what became the B&Bs and all this other shit in the game, right? So the point is, I only play video games randomly, so if I don't like something, I'm just not going to play it. So there's also a comment that sometimes I think that, you know, maybe it's understandable that not everyone that watches my videos, maybe first language is English, but someone commented that don't think the game is methodical, which I keep saying that word. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess maybe some people are in English that watch my videos, right? I think the game is methodical, but what I was talking about negative with it, I don't know if they misunderstood the idea that Guilty Gear has negative penalties. I don't know. Maybe they missed that. I was saying that this game is, if you look at it, how it's neutral based, of how intricate it is with blocking and everything like that, and punishes and with the counter hit system and all this other kind of shit. I think it is ironic that this game is more aggressive with negative penalties, right? It's like it's like, you know, the what is that saying that they have? Again, my English sucks as well half the time, but there's that saying, like, there's a good angel in your ear and there's a bad angel in your ear, the angel on your ear, the devil in your ear, whatever that saying is. So it's like in one ear you got a dude saying like, oh, my game is so intricate, so neutral based. Ooh, look, yeah, it's so, the spacing is so amazing, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, I'm dancing in and out of here. And like I said, I also think that backdashes are not invincible enough. More aggressive with giving you a negative penalty. It's kind of like a clusterfuck. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're being more aggressive with negative penalties in a game that you want me to play it more deliberately. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't have anything against negative penalties. Like, I understand the idea of, you know, it's pushing you. Like, this is definitely a game that, you know, much more so that, you know, negative penalties, they can happen, you know, even in Guilty Gears and past, but those games are more, you know, more fast-paced, more shit is going on. Of course, stuff is going on in here. But this game is kind of, you know, encouraging you to play it more deliberately. Yet at the same time, one person's in your ear is telling you to do one thing, another person in the ear is telling you to do another thing. So it's kind of weird. And I think someone also said, well, I think the game is fast-paced. Well, I mean, I'm not saying there's not fast-pacedness to the game. Of course, the game is encouraging you to be aggressive from a certain standpoint. But look at, I mean, do you consider Street Fighter? I said Street Fighter is a potentially more deliberate game, more methodical. But hell, look at Street Fighter 2, whatever it might be, Super Turbo. It is fast-paced. Fuck, you're rushing people down. The fireballs are fast as fuck. You got to be on your toes. You know what I mean? But I guess it depends on your perspective of how you're looking at it. I'm just kind of comparing it game to game, right? Someone asked about Kai again, whatever that comment was. Like I said, I commented on Kai. I don't know really what else to say. Like I said, I think the shock state, they didn't go far enough with it. It's a good idea. Like most things in this game, the characters are the most interesting thing about the game. But I think shock state, instead of shock state going away after a few seconds, you know, it should have stayed longer until you actually hit your move that takes away the shock state. And I think they could have added something weird when I talk about, you know, teaching someone a game through the game mechanics. So you could have had a mechanic like Kai's shock state, it shocks you, but, you know, if you're FDing, the move doesn't cause the shock state. So then, you know, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're teaching people about, you know, FD as well like that, right? It's a weird way of working in a system mechanic into a character gimmick. I know some people were complaining like, oh, I can't believe you think blocking a DP on an air hit shouldn't be punishable. Why the fuck? You have a bunch of fucking people that shilled this game, and the developers, all this bullshit's like, oh, it's the most risky game ever to jump in, yet you can block an air DP and I get punished more than my reward. That doesn't make any sense. And in this game, people, you know, even I think that is fucking ironic when you think about it. It's like, man, you know, the irony of the community and the developers and shit when they say shit like, oh, this game is supposed to be more neutral based, you know what I mean? But then it's like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be pressuring you. This is my turn. Your DP, whatever. It's like, what the fuck? Do you know even know what the fuck you're saying? You guys keep going back and forth what you're saying. Just like this community, so many people are trying to praise the wall, and we don't like Okizeme. We don't like people just pressuring you all the time. But everyone on Twitter, what are they doing? Oh, look, it's my blue FRC mix-up. You're frozen, so I get 2 mix-ups before you can do anything. And it's like, I thought you guys hate mix-ups. I thought you hate being pressured and you can't fucking do anything. Fucking retarded. Which also leads me to, I was getting those stupid comments like, oh, people weren't saying that they don't like Ramlethal. You're just making stuff up. We just said we don't like her play style, you know, because before she was like a set play character or a rush down character, you know, she was pinning you down and doing all this shit to you. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then once you played her and you saw that she was still pressuring you, then you liked her because she was good. Well, no, you're just saying that we didn't think that she sucked. We just didn't think we were going to enjoy her, but now we enjoyed her. And it's like, what? It's hard for me to even repeat what people say because people are so goddamn fucking retarded, dude. Like I said, I get more and more stupid when I listen to people. Like what that guy? Oh my God, Jesus Christ, dude! People can't admit they're wrong. Yeah, you thought Ramathal was not fun, that she sucked, that she wasn't going to be good because she doesn't have all her tools. She can't pressure you. Oh, then you saw she's good and now you enjoyed her. Okay, yeah, and then you enjoyed her because she was still pressuring you. Like it's fucking backwards. It's only good when oh God, Jesus fucking Christ, fucking kill yourself already. Persona 3. Save us from your fucking complaining. You can't fucking admit you're wrong. Jesus fucking Christ. Going back to Kai. Actually, this is something. I wrote about this, but where is this? Watch me not be able to do a DP again. Jesus fucking Christ. What am I looking for? Oh, the shock state. Because this is an idea that, you know, like you can see there's some ideas in here, but they didn't really try. So, you know what I mean? Like, so there's this idea, like, for first, Jesus fucking Christ. Well, let's just imagine this, right? Boom, boom. Boom. There, I did a DP. Jesus Christ. Okay, I can DP, right? So you see there's that there, right? And so you see there's this idea here that actually playing the match, right? You know what I mean? How many times am I going to be running in and duck hard slashing the dude? Although again, this game is pretty big on counter hits, so apparently it does want you to fish for counter hits. But anyway, for sake of argument, but if I just do this, you know, I can't even get a duck slash. I can't even get in. So then you're like, okay, so wait a second. What would I do in this situation, a real match situation? And you're like, okay, well, I guess I would do... And you're like, oh, you can do that. And you're like, okay, there's some thought in here. But then look what happened. What happened? You're like, wait a second. That was a shock state slide. Wasn't the shock state slide supposed to give you a big fireball? And you're like, oh, yeah, they took that shit away. And it's like, dude, this is the gimmick of your fucking character. What is the difference? Like, this is it. It's like, okay, 37. Now what does it do this game in the final? 39? It gives me 2 points extra damage. And like, what happened to the shock state version of the move? Is that like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this game is like, there's a little bit of thought there, but they didn't really think. And the game is 2 fucking years old. The game is 2 fucking years old. How did you not think that out? And it's like, okay, yeah, well, we don't want Kai to get that big of a, we don't want Kai to get this whole big DP loop off this whatever. And it's like, okay, well, then in a real match situation, what is my low option? What is another option? And it's like, oh, okay, well, you get the slide, dude. And it's like, but wait a second. You then tone down the shock state slide that I can't get that. Like, at least if you could get that, you're like, oh, well, that's the thought process of the character. But no, it doesn't fucking work. Like, you didn't trust that the character ideas are the best thing in this game. Just like, what did I show before? When the game was first coming out, not even first coming, when it first showed the videos, when I was fucking talking about how all this shit was going to work. My RC versus your RC, people were like, oh, you're not going to be able to combo. There's not going to be mix-ups. I'm like, no, you're going to be able to mix up like this because the game froze. And then I was like, you know what? I bet you can combo after fireball, this kind of shit. And when I made those first videos during that one beta, what did I show? You could do stuff like, oh, then you could but no, they took that shit out. And it's like, dude, that's actually a fun way to combine the game mechanics of the character with the character gimmicks of shock states. It's like, oh, then I can link in. I'm like, I'm using both things. But it was all taken away. And it's like, hell, you know what you could have done? Maybe the shock state DP is the one DP that you have to FD. You know, something, dude. Just... You didn't fucking trust your idea, you know? Again, sometimes you need a developer, someone on your shoulder being like, tap you on the back, like, that's a good idea. Dragon Ball, but your game. And then instead it's just like a throwaway, it's like it's there. But that could have been the focus. Just like Kai. It's like, oh, you have this shock state, but now it's such a stale version of it. It's like kind of just left out to dry. It's like, well, it's there.
It's there. It's still there, but, you know, we just decided to take it away. Most of it, but it's there. It's like, what the fuck? God damn.
I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, again, I don't mind the game being more methodical, etc. You know, you can see there's some interesting ideas here with counter hits, more methodical play. I'm going to keep saying that word. I don't know why people said I didn't say that, but anyway, you know, besides all that, I don't like throws either. I don't like the throwing DP, and I'm not a big fan of just the dust thing in general. But I guess I can see why it is to add some kind of different things. But what else? Oh yeah, the story mode. Sorry, excuse me. The story mode was garbage. Kind of reminded me of Kingdom Hearts 3. That was the level of stupidity of the story. And you know, I kind of liked the Guilty Gear story before that, but once it got to XRD, I was like, ugh, God. And I was like, what is this? This just keeps getting worse and worse. Like that one point God. And then, what the fuck am I supposed to say? I wish you could see my face right now. I was just watching it, and I remember at one point I had to collect myself about how stupid this was. And I was like, man, this is really it? Was this really the point of the story this whole time? That's what we've been waiting for? And I'm like, fuck. I guess I don't know if we should go into spoilers, but it's fucking terrible. And then I guess I would jack off to Eno, and I guess I would jack off to Jacko, I guess, literally. I jack off Jacko, whatever the fuck it is, but Ariel, whatever, but, you know, no Ramathel, you know. Give me something to bust some nuts to. Yeah, I guess Giovanna's in it. Okay, yeah, I guess there's characters I'd bust in it. But I still wanted Ramathel in it. I mean, I don't know. The story, goddamn. And that was the story. It was just kind of like, fuck me. You know, that makes me think. I was like, this is like Kingdom Hearts level 3 of bullshit. You remember that one Kingdom Hearts 3 thing that came out? And the guy's like, you don't like the conclusion? What do you mean the conclusion? My conclusion with the cards. What do you mean? The cards talked about the conclusion, but now you're mad that the conclusion was not the conclusion in your head. Oh, so you mean your conclusion was predestined by the cards? Yes, it was. Solitaire. And he just disappeared. Thought it was supposed to be complicated. I'm like, no, this is just fucking stupid. Just like Guilty Gear. Oh, the conclusion? The power of love? Oh, solitaire. Oh. Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck me. Oh yeah, the music sucks in this game too. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about, but yeah, I think this game is more interesting than XRD. I still think it's a fundamentally flawed game though. There's still, the wall is a huge black eye on it. You know, the stuff that people say about the game is retarded. It's not, you know. But you can see there's some ideas here. And again, you know, they need to make this game a little bit more crisp, you know, trust the characters more, let them be a little bit more free-flowing to then actually use the system, right? You want characters that actually show off the game, right? When you talk about even those Super Turbo videos, when I talked about, or other successful games, when games have a successful narrative, when you have characters that can actually show off the game, because, and it's also important to even have characters potentially in the competitive narrative of a game, because when you have characters that show off the game that are in the competitive narrative, that are easily digestible, it helps the audience understand what the game is about, right? So that's also another, like, you know, good, you know, reasoning, analogy, whatever, for having strong characters, having, you know, characters that really show off the game. But again, now this game teeter-totters off that the system is the most important. And I really think that's why, and it's unfortunate that, you know, what is everyone doing? They just keep doing the same bullshit. Oh, my character does the same bullshit as you. My character does the same bullshit as you. Isn't that really, it's just like, oh, look what my character does. My character does this. My character does that. And it's like, but we just saw it with everyone else. Like, the game isn't new. It's 2 years old. Anyway, I feel like I've talked about this game enough. Maybe I'll answer some other questions later at the end.